Imagine you have a thorn embedded in your arm, not deep enough to be life-threatening, but just close enough to the surface that everything brushes against it. You learn to protect that spot. You change how you dress, how you move, how you let people near you. You build your entire life around not touching that one painful place. And for a while, it works. But you're exhausted, because the thorn is still there. Michael Singer opens chapter 9 of The Untethered Soul with exactly this image, and he uses it to describe something most of us have never thought to question: the psychological thorns we carry inside us. The unresolved pain, the old wounds, the memories that still sting when something accidentally grazes them. Removing your inner thorn, Singer says, is not about managing the pain around it. It's about actually pulling it out. And in this chapter, he shows you exactly how that's done. Not through years of avoidance, not through distraction, but through something far simpler and far more courageous than either of those. Let's get into it. Singer begins by asking you to take that thorn image seriously, because it maps almost perfectly onto what's happening inside your psyche. The inner thorn is not just sadness or stress. It's something more specific. It's a piece of unresolved emotional experience that never fully moved through you. Maybe it was a moment of rejection, a loss, a betrayal, or a deep fear that you encountered at some point in your life and simply couldn't process at the time. So instead of passing through your consciousness the way healthy experiences do, it got lodged. It stayed. And now it sits inside your awareness like a splinter that never healed over, sensitive, reactive, and quietly shaping everything around it. Singer is careful here to point out that this isn't weakness. This is just what happens when we encounter more pain than we can integrate in the moment. The nervous system does what it needs to do to survive. But the problem is that what starts as a protective response becomes a permanent fixture. The thorn takes up residence, and from that point on, your entire inner life starts organizing itself around that one sore spot. Your thoughts, your moods, your relationships, all of it bends subtly toward protecting that wound from being touched again. That, Singer says, is the real cost. Not just the pain itself, but the enormous amount of energy you spend making sure nothing ever disturbs it. Here's where Singer's insight becomes almost uncomfortably accurate. Once the thorn is in place, we don't try to remove it, we try to manage the world around it. We build what Singer describes as elaborate structures of avoidance. We avoid certain people who might accidentally say the wrong thing. We avoid certain situations that might trigger that familiar ache. We stay away from conversations that get too close to the sensitive place. We fill our schedules, our phones, our minds with enough noise that we never have to sit quietly with what's underneath. And the cruel irony, Singer points out, is that this strategy can look incredibly functional from the outside. The person who is constantly busy, constantly productive, constantly surrounded by people, they might just be someone who learned very early how to build a life that never lets the thorn get touched. But inside, the thorn hasn't moved. It's still there. And because we've invested so much in avoiding it, it actually gains power over time. The avoidance itself becomes proof that the pain must be too dangerous to face. Every time you flinch away from it, you reinforce the belief that it would destroy you to feel it fully. Singer wants you to notice this pattern, not to judge yourself for it, but to see it clearly. Because you cannot begin removing your inner thorn until you recognize that your avoidance strategies, however clever and well-intentioned, are what's keeping it in place. This is the psychological core of the chapter, and it's worth sitting with carefully. Singer explains that the thorn persists not because the original pain was too big, but because of what we do with it afterward. Specifically, because of resistance. When the thorn gets bumped, when someone says something that echoes an old wound, or a situation arises that feels eerily familiar, a wave of emotional energy rises inside you. And the moment that wave begins, most of us contract. We tighten around it, we push it down, push it away, distract ourselves, get angry at whoever triggered it, or retreat into our heads. That contraction, that resistance, is what traps the energy inside. Singer uses a beautiful and precise metaphor here. Emotional energy is meant to flow. It rises, it moves through you, and if you let it, it completes its cycle and releases. But the moment you resist it, the moment you say, I don't want to feel this, you interrupt that cycle. You hold the energy in place. And held energy doesn't dissolve, it compresses. It gets stored in your body, your nervous system, your unconscious patterns, and then it waits. It waits for the next trigger, and the next, and the next. Removing your inner thorn, Singer argues, requires understanding this mechanism clearly. It is not the pain that keeps the thorn lodged. It is your ongoing refusal to let the pain move through you freely. So what does removal actually look like? Singer is very clear that this is not about re-traumatizing yourself or forcing yourself to relive difficult memories in graphic detail. It's something quieter and more deliberate than that. It begins with awareness. You have to be willing to turn toward what you've been turning away from. In practice, this means when you notice that familiar tightening in your chest, that old feeling starting to rise, instead of immediately doing something to make it stop, you pause. You become the observer. You bring your conscious attention to what's happening inside you, and you simply look at it. Not analyze it, not narrate it, not judge it as good or bad. Just look. Singer describes this as bringing the thorn into your inner vision. You hold it in your awareness the way you might hold something fragile and unfamiliar, with steadiness, with patience, with genuine curiosity. And what you'll often discover in that moment of honest looking is that the feeling, however uncomfortable, is not actually unbearable. It's intense. It's real. But it's workable. The terror you built around it, that layer of I cannot go there, begins to soften the moment you realize you're already there and you're still okay. This is where removing your inner thorn begins. Not in a dramatic confrontation, but in this quiet, courageous act of just being willing to look without immediately running. The final step Singer describes is surrender. And he uses that word deliberately, knowing it makes people nervous. Surrender here doesn't mean giving up or being defeated. It means releasing your grip on the resistance. It means allowing the emotional energy that's been compressed inside you to finally move, to rise, to complete its natural arc. When you stop fighting the feeling and genuinely allow it to be there, something remarkable tends to happen. The wave crests and then it passes, not because you conquered it, but because you stopped interrupting it. Singer is emphatic on this point. You don't have to do anything to dissolve the energy. You just have to stop doing the one thing that was keeping it frozen, resisting it. And as that energy releases, the thorn comes with it. What's left is a felt sense of spaciousness, a lightness where there used to be tension, an area of your life that no longer needs protecting, no longer needs managing, no longer requires elaborate avoidance strategies built around it. Removing your inner thorn doesn't erase the memory of what happened, but it does remove the charge. It removes the way that old wound was quietly running your decisions, your reactions, and your sense of what's possible for you. Singer ends this chapter with a kind of quiet invitation. Imagine living without that weight. Imagine the energy that would free up, not just emotionally, but creatively, relationally, spiritually. That's not a fantasy. That's what becomes available when the thorn is finally, genuinely gone. I really appreciate you giving your time and attention to this chapter. It's one of those that tends to land differently depending on where you are in life, so I hope something in it met you exactly where you needed it. I'd genuinely love to know, is there an area of your life where you can feel yourself building around a thorn, rather than facing it? And what do you think it would take for you to actually turn toward it? Drop that in the comments. And if you want to keep going with the Untethered Soul, make sure you're subscribed, because in Chapter 10, Singer takes us into what it actually looks like to live beyond these internal barriers, which is a natural next step from everything we just covered.